Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. My name is Crown and today we are going to have some more stories that I hope that you will enjoy. But before we start, it would be so much appreciated if you would subscribe to the channel, like the video if you enjoyed it, and maybe leave a comment down below. These simple clicks would mean a lot to the future of this channel and really reward the effort that I put in every day. And now, without further ado, let's go! To set the stage, I work for a shop within a much larger shopping district. Think of your basic strip mall but in a heavy traffic Florida area. So a ton of people, many of which don't live here, and a heavy security force to keep an eye on them. We don't employ the security directly, but as one of the store tenants, they can answer to us if there is an emergency, theft, violence, and so on. Our block of shops has a loading bay behind it, which I personally rarely use for anything other than clocking in and out. Occasionally, people try to park here, despite the fact that there is signage specifically telling people not to do so. Our lots are often backed and they think they can get away with it. I never complain, but the strip security will tow them in a heartbeat if they see it. The local tow company probably makes a killing from it, which is where the story starts. I am exiting for the night and a guy sees me walking out of one of the back doors. We will call him the entitled local. He asks, "Hey, where is my car?" "Well, if you can't find your car, security can check the lot for you." "No, I parked it here, man. Where is it?" "If you parked it here, security might have towed it." "You towed my car?" "No, but security might have." "Don't pull that nonsense. I know you work here. I want to talk to the manager." "I am the manager on duty at my store, but I do not work for the district. If you want, I can..." Then he interrupts. "I've been coming here for years, and they have never touched my car. This is unacceptable. I expect you to have it returned immediately." "Listen, I can't untow your car, man." At this point, he became more and more angry, swearing, insulting me, and escalating it to the point of threatening to beat me up. As luck would have it, a guard was walking through our lot, so I waved him down. The entitled local begins to smile, thinking he's finally escalated the problem to somebody else who can return his vehicle. "Nope." The security guard asks, "How's it going?" I tell him, "Hey, this is the guy who you towed earlier. He's threatening to beat me up because of it. I want him trespassed off property." Fun fact, the strip is all under a single address, with the individual shops being like apartment numbers. So if you get trespassed off from an individual shop, that means you aren't permitted on the property at all. End of the day, this idiot is taken off property by a handful of security guards as he swears and spits. Not only did we do nothing about his car being towed, but he was permanently banned from returning. For future reference, here is a timeline. Match, practice, practice today. Hello, I'm a 14-year-old boy in 9th grade and a very avid golfer. I'm not amazing at it, but I still have fun. My high school golf team is amazing and all the people on it are really nice. Although high school starts in 9th grade for us, you can play high school sports starting in 7th grade. I played on a team then and it was awesome. Never played a match cause I was terrible back then, but nonetheless, an amazing experience. I didn't play in 8th grade cause, you know, COVID. However, this year I was super excited to play and got through a couple months of practice and 2 matches when I found out some terrible news. My great-grandpa was experiencing fatal liver failure at 93 years old. I was devastated. He lived an amazing life and was probably the funniest person in my family. He is still in hospice care as I write this. If you don't know, hospice is basically where a dying person goes to, not to be cured, but just be as comfortable as possible when they pass. But this is where the entitled parent comes in. My head golf coach is, let's just say, interesting. For the story, I'll call him Coach Jerk. Now, during my 7th grade year, this coach was actually pretty nice. He always helped me improve and built me up a lot to the point where I'm one of the better players of my team now. But this year though, he became the evil incarnate. The day I found out my great-grandpa was going into hospice, we had a match and was scheduled to be one in the first foursome out. I couldn't go and my parents, super supportive and awesome, agreed to let me stay home. I did then FaceTimed my great-grandma and felt a little better. I went to practice the next day and everyone asked where I was. I just told them it was some family issues and they all understood. All but one. This guy. Let's call him Entitled Kid. He was the actual worst. Anytime I hear the word entitled, I literally think of him. He acts like he's so much better than all of us and worst of all, he loathes golf. My friends and I unanimously agreed that his parents are forcing him to do it, but I wish he didn't play. Now the reason that anything happened was because this entitled kid had to fill in for me when I didn't show up. As you know, he hates golf. The following day when I came to practice, I got pulled aside by Coach Jerk. And this conversation literally happened yesterday, so it's basically verbatim. He asked me, "Hey, why didn't you come to the match yesterday?" I replied, "Oh, sorry, I have some family issues right now." He seemed to get mad at this because he raised his voice a little at me. "I don't care about your family. When I set a game time, you come no matter what." Shocked, I replied, "Sorry, but my great-grandma was just put in hospice and could die any week. I feel like my family is more important than a school sport." He yelled, "Don't come to practice anymore. If you can't play on a team when you're asked to, you will not ever play on a team." I almost started crying and I would have walked home. I live close to the course. If it weren't for my assistant coach, Coach Angel. He heard Coach Jerk yelling and ran over. "What's going on over here?" And the Coach Jerk replied, "This kid is not being a proper member of our team and I'm removing him from it." Coach Angel asked what I was doing wrong and Coach Jerk explained how I didn't show up for the match. I calmly explained to Coach Angel about the situation with my great-grandpa, and Coach Angel said, "I'll get this cleared up. Enjoy the rest of your practice." And so I did. Coach Jerk left practice early that day and it turns out that the entitled kid, remember him, told his parents about how he had to fill in for me. They called Coach Jerk, who, being a jerk, sided with them. It also turns out that the reason he left practice early was because Coach Angel called the school and he was fired nearly on the spot. I am now happily playing on the golf team and visit my grandpa either in person or via FaceTime nearly every day. He got what's coming to him. I'm a pizza delivery guy and was winding down for a much-needed early close on Mother's Day Sunday. I'm one of the only people on staff who didn't have family plans that day. My family situation is what you might call complicated, so I worked all morning while short-staffed and was pretty peeved. It was especially emotionally hammering to deliver so many pizzas to happy families visiting or hosting their moms. I was ready to go home, get drunk, and forget about the whole stupid holiday. So I got a late call, just a few minutes before we closed and decided to take it because money is money and it was a pretty big order, 6 pies. So I loaded up and realized about 3/4 of the way to the destination that the address was for the local senior center. They used to order all the time, tip really well and make really sweet conversation before the pandemic. So I was psyched to see that they were safe and steady enough to order pizzas again. I snuck them a side of breadsticks from a jerk who never tips and always harasses our female drivers that I was dropping off along the way. By the time he'd called to complain, we'd be closed. Suck on that, but not on your breadsticks. Anyways, I digress. I got there and was glad to finish off what had been an overall really bad day with a pleasant trip to the senior center and carried the food to the front desk. The receptionist offered to carry the pizzas back, but she looked frail enough to be a senior center resident herself, so I said I was happy to get them where they were going. She COVID-checked me and gave me a new mask. Not sure what was wrong with mine, but whatever. And I found my way to some event room where they had ordered the pizzas. And it was a total gut punch. Literally just a room full of sons and daughters visiting their mothers and having some kind of festive party. My good mood went away real quick and I dropped the pizzas on the table and shuffled out. But I realized while they had prepaid for the pizzas over the phone with a credit card, they hadn't tipped. So no matter how bitter I was, I had to make in-person contact with whoever had ordered the pizzas. or I have basically just wasted half an hour. I went around the room asking for Margaret, the name on the order, and eventually someone put me in front of her. Our shop doesn't have a uniform or anything. So I start to explain, "Hi, Margaret, right? You ordered," and she was really frazzled. I guess running the event, so she cut me off and was like, "Oh good, you're here. We were starting to wonder. I don't think Bonnie has been matched with anyone yet. Wait right here." I tried to cut in and explain I just delivered the pizzas, and she'd mistaken me for someone else, but it went right over her head. She pushed an old woman over in a wheelchair and said, practically shouting, "Bonnie, this young man is here just for you." And before I could try my explanation again, Bonnie replied, "He is he?" Well, full disclosure, son, don't get too attached, cause Jesus has my heart. Margaret, the one who'd ordered the pizza, or at least the name we had on it, whispered to me, "She's a real-life wire. Have fun." And then Margaret and my tip were in the wind. Bonnie looked up at me and went, "You like bridge? I hope you brought your checkbook," and started wheeling away to a table. I followed her, thinking I better not lose track of her until I could return her to Margaret. I spotted a woman with an ID badge who looked like she knew what she was doing and explained that I was a pizza delivery guy, but someone had left me with this old woman in my charge. I guess my explanation wasn't clear enough because I said something like, "Hey, I was actually delivering some pizzas up here." And the girl says, "You brought pizza? Oh, that's so nice. I'll make sure you're compensated." So at first I thought, great, all resolved now. But no. She gave me a wad of cash and this organizer disappeared, leaving me with Bonnie and her deck of cards. I kept looking for Margaret to return this lady to, but also did kind of enjoy making conversation with her, and knew no other deliveries would be coming in since we'd closed on my drive over. I actually did like listening to Bonnie talk about the YouTube conspiracies she wholeheartedly believed, and the spat she was having with the arts and crafts chaperone and so on. She even gave me a recipe, but I was worried that she had dementia and thought I was a family member, or that she was expecting a particular visitor and at any moment, a guy would storm in and say, "What are you doing with my aunt?" or something like that. So finally I saw the second organizer again, the one who'd given me the cash. I figured Margaret may never return, so I shouldn't wait for her, and I pulled the organizer aside and said, "Look, there's been a mix-up. I don't really know this woman." The organizer seemed distracted. She was doing several things at once, and she very casually said, "Oh, there is no mix-up. The pairings were totally random. You weren't expected to have much in common. You will get to know her. Do not overthink it." And she receded back into the crowd while I was still saying, "No, I'm just delivering pizza." At this point, I seriously considered leaving because it wasn't my fault that these people were not organized. But Bonnie was waiting for me with this huge grin on her face to play more cards, and it didn't look like there were any real relatives coming for her, so I figured I would stick it out for a few more games. I was eventually able to pick up in context from eavesdropping on other pairs that this was not a mother-child extravaganza. It was a volunteer event for women living at the senior home without kids or whose kids couldn't visit them. That was a huge relief because I would have felt really terrible if she was a dementia patient who thought her son had come, especially because I was kind of enjoying being mothered by her, for lack of a better term. It felt really good to have someone asking what I was doing at work and saying they were proud of me. She proudly bragged to everyone we passed on our courtyard walk about this silly little Employee of the Week award I just won. Basically a title only. You get your photo on the wall, but everyone gets it at some point, and usually more than once, but she made it feel really important. And I really secretly loved how she got outraged over minor transgressions on my behalf. Like I told her how my landlord is sticking it to me on repairs, and she was like, "He's quite the ripe hair in the tuna," with such sincere gusto. She said she knew a guy who could tune him up for me, and I don't think she was talking about repairs, but I didn't follow up. Every time I tried to extricate myself, she'd have another activity she'd want to do. Once we finished cards, she wanted to do arts and crafts. Once we did that, she wanted me to push her around the courtyard. Once we did that, she was famished from the walk, even though all she did was sit in her wheelchair. And she wanted pizza. It had fed her 2 slices before an orderly appeared and angrily informed me she was not supposed to eat pizza. I do not know how she then ended up with a 3rd slice, but I seriously did not give it to her. Finally, the party was winding down and she wanted me to hang out and watch a game show with her. About 30 seconds into the show, she was asleep. I left her a coupon even though I guess she isn't supposed to eat pizza and headed home. It was kind of nice to spend Mother's Days doing Mother's Day type stuff. Really nice actually. At this point in my life and career, if you want to call it that, I can have no wholly good memories that involve pizza, but this was pretty close. So happy Mother's Days to those who celebrated it. And now we have reached the end of today's stories. Thank you for watching and see you next time.